2 days after we arrived in Istanbul, we walked past a travel agent a few doors down from our hotel. They were advertising trips to Ephesus for 1 day.
I decided not to go to Ephesus because we were going to go there in 2011. So it suited me better just to wander around the streets of Istanbul on day 3. And besides, a 1-hour flight, which takes 60 minutes, plus a 4 a.m. start and a midnight return just put me off going altogether. So it was for that reason that I decided to fade out of the Ephesus episode.
My Ephesus trip, as Stephen said, started at 4 a.m. in the morning with a car picking me up from the hotel to take me to Atatürk Airport.
Here I am at the airport, domestic airport. It's nearly 6 o'clock. I've been up since 5. I'm going to go to Ephesus today. It's 27 degrees at 5 o'clock this morning, and I'll be home about midnight. Quite a busy little airport.
The first stop was Izmir, which is 560 km from Istanbul and has a population of 3 million. Izmir was known as Smyrna in the Bible times. From Izmir, I travelled to the tiny town called Selkirk by bus. That's about 40 km from the airport, and then it's another 3 km from Selkirk out to the archaeological site of Ephesus. The Temple of Artemis is all that remains of the original city of Ephesus. As you can see, not much of it remains. In fact, most of it is underneath this swamp. In the background you can see the Basilica of St. John and the hilltop citadel built in the 6th century by the Byzantines. The Temple of Artemis was formerly one of the 7 wonders of the world, so how come it ended up at the bottom of a swamp? Well, the area of the temple originally was a swamp, so they filled it with coal and built the temple on top of that. Then a madman who wanted to be remembered in history, and I can't remember his name, set fire to the oil inside the temple. The oil ran through the cracks in the stone floor and ignited the coal. As the coal burnt, the building sank. Our tour then moved to the Odeon, a small theatre dating back to 150 AD. An Odeon is a small theatre used for musical performance and meetings of the town council. The Odeon was surrounded by municipal buildings. In the height of summer, Ephesus can be a very crowded place with busloads of tourists pouring in. But in a way, all those people do make it easier to visualise what the city must have been like, with noise and congestion and heat. In Roman times, Ephesus had a population of more than 250,000, which at the time made it the 2nd largest city in the world, second only to Rome. It was also one of the first democracies. How is it then that some cities like Smyrna grow to have a population of over 3 million, yet others like Ephesus become abandoned? The problem for Ephesus was it used to have a large harbour in ancient times, but that harbour constantly silted up. Economically, it didn't make sense to the Romans to continually dredge the harbour, so the city was abandoned. Once you enter Curity Street, you can recognise some of the artefacts. The Celsus Library, the symbol for hospital, the symbol for pharmacy, Nike, the Hercules Gate, a marble backgammon board, non-slip tiles, the Temple of Hadrian with the head of Medusa on it, a close-up of Medusa, and finally a very hot cat. Another important stop was the Roman men's public toilets. The first toilet was the most popular because as you go further round there were more items deposited in the channel. Also, your slave was required to go ahead and try and bag the first toilet and keep the marble seat warm for you. The Great Theatre was originally built in Hellenistic times, but was rebuilt by the Romans in 41 AD, over a period of 76 years. On my tour was Cindy and Richard, who came from New York. Her new camera batteries did not work, so I took these photos of her and she took some of me. Through this gate of Augustus is the Agora. This is a marketplace which was the heart of Ephesian business life. Shops were on either side of the colonnades. Archaeological work is far from over at Ephesus, and here you can see a crane being used to reconstruct the city. You hear the expression, "It's a small world," and on the day I was in Ephesus, I met the neighbour of Stephen's Auntie Kath, who lives at Gulf Harbour, only a few k's from us. Local tradition has it that the Apostle Paul was imprisoned in Ephesus on this hill. Looking at this hillside gives you some idea of the size of Ephesus. It was not just the parts you can see today, but extended to the tree line where the original harbour was before it silted up. Under this white canopy is where the luxurious private Ephesian homes are. Work is underway to restore the frescoes and mosaics. These are the best examples of elite Roman terraced houses outside of Pompeii. Our next stop was Mary's house. On the way, we passed the 6th century Byzantine citadel. On the basis of a 19th century nun's vision, it was decided this could be Mary's house. This is the house that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was supposed to have spent her last days with John, because John was looking after Mary after Jesus' death. This is the place near Ephesus where they believe she came and spent her last days. In 1967, Pope Paul VI unofficially authenticated this site, and it quickly became a pilgrimage site with 1 million visitors a year. On leaving the site, you pass a wall covered with individual prayers written by pilgrims. On the way back to Selkirk, we passed a bathhouse and had the mandatory tourist stop at a carpet factory. Well, this is the town of Selkirk, which is 5 minutes from Ephesus. It's where I got the tour bus up to Ephesus. Been up since 4 in the morning and it's now 5 at night, or 5:30. Still got to fly back to Istanbul. Should be back in Istanbul by 11:30 and then back at the hotel by 12. Not a bad day though, pretty good. Really enjoyed Ephesus. There's a fruit shop across the road there. I don't know if you can see it. This morning I bought a really nice pear and some plums off the lady for 2 liras. Made a nice afternoon tea. I saw a shop in Ephesus which was selling genuine fake watches.